Hey folks, it's Alex Harper from Signal Feed. So, there's this chart that Axio put out showing this supposed rise in left-wing violence. It's been all over Twitter, with folks from the right quite happy to share it, but they sure are ignoring the bigger picture. Right-wing violence is way more prevalent than left-wing violence. You can check out the stats from places like KO or the Government Accountability Office if you need proof. Now, let's shift gears a bit to this tragic incident that happened in Michigan. A guy named Thomas Sanford went into a church and opened fire, tragically killing 4 people. He was armed with an AR-15 and even had 2 American flags on his truck. Typically, when the shooter fits a certain profile, let's say a Muslim or an immigrant, MAGA folks jump on that immediately and start blaming the left. But this time, silence. Jessica Talov, bless her, was on Fox News pointing this out while facing her panel. And let me tell you, it wasn't an easy job.
And the conversation that Fetterman was having with Maria and something that he posted on Twitter, which the Deputy White House Press Secretary did as well, was this chart that Axios published about this rise in left-wing violence. And the right was gleefully tweeting it, ignoring the fact that the right-wing violence was much larger than the left-wing violence, which is the truth about it. And you can go anywhere you want for these statistics. You can go to Cato, you can go to the Government Accountability Office, you can go to the Center for, Strategic and International Studies to see that. And in the wake of the absolutely tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, the right, led by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, wants to make it out as if the left are the only ones who have ever used the word fascist. And you can see a compilation of Stephen Miller saying it. It's passing all over Twitter. You have Donald Trump on tape. You have analyses of how many times that he's referred to Democrats and journalists as evil just in the first 6 months of his administration. And, I think that we should have led this conversation with the tragedies of this weekend. We had more mass shootings, which is just the daily occurrence in American life. And Kash Patel, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, Caroline Levin as well, out there with a very different narrative than I would think that they would have, but because it doesn't add up for them. The guy who drove up to the Mormon church, set the place on fire, killed 5 people, shooting them, was a Trump supporter. He had a Trump Vance flag in his backyard, which some on the right are trying to say that it said stop Trump. Doesn't make any sense. And if a leftist or someone had killed someone and had a Dark Brandon flag or a Biden-Harris flag, you don't think that Kash Patel, that would have been the first thing that he would have said?
Yeah, because the right is going everywhere saying, go after the Mormon people. You know there's a difference. You know there's a difference when there's one person, a one-off, and people that are going
It's not a
on
one-off.
the day-to-day
Go back
basis.
to the Axios chart, and you can see how much of a not one-off it is. The hypocrisy is astounding. If you want to have a message of tolerance and let's get these people the mental help they need, because he needed mental help, so did the guy in North Carolina who killed 3 people at that waterfront bar, a veteran, people who we ignore and don't treat. People said warning signs for decades that had been ignored. Make that your message no matter who's killing people. But when the shoe is on the other foot and you can't demonize the left for this one, they say nothing. Nothing. Oh, it was just about anti-Christian bias. It was a Christian, by the way, killing other Christians.
And honestly, this isn't new when it comes to Trump and everything related to the MAGA crowd. So, here's the deal. Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was killed at home. And when Trump was asked about it, he didn't even go to her funeral.
Mr. President, I want Charlie Kirk, in retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk, do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to half-staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. The
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me. People make requests for the lowering of flag, and oftentimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up. Had the governor of Minnesota asked me to do that, I would have done that gladly.
Just a decent person and probably one of the most skillful legislators I've ever worked with. Minnesota's a better state that got massive things done to improve people's lives, and you just see, the disrespect and how easy that rolled off his tongue, yet we're supposed to believe that they're definitely concerned about political violence. And you see the vice president, you know, go on a podcast, it's government by podcast, to just lie and to bring hate. And they're not interested in solving this. We in Minnesota are. And I said today, announcing that I was going to run again, look, I don't think I have any, you know, you don't have a right to stay in these jobs, but I'm proud of the work we did together. I'm proud of Melissa's legacy. And I think right now, as you said, folks are standing up, and brave folks, teachers standing up for their students who bring their full selves to their classrooms. We had doctors here who patched up little bodies after they were shot with assault rifles and stood up and said, damn it, do something about this. We're tired of patching them up. Get rid of these things. And all across this country, you got people pushing back, and you've got a president that sees the presidency as his personal kingdom and a revenge tour. He's doing nothing to improve people's lives. Insurance costs are at a 15-year high. We see electricity costs going up. He's not fixing anything for anyone, and it's all smoke and mirrors. So I think when people see this, and I appreciate you asking about Melissa, I think there's a steeled resolve in Minnesota that we're done with this. 2 weekends in a row, we've gone to memorial services for an 8- and 10-year-old to hear about these beautiful lives. And I guarantee you Donald Trump doesn't know their names.
What's really frustrating is how quickly violence from someone with left-wing views gets used as a weapon.
Of gun violence in this country, both mass shootings, we've seen this Michigan church that was attacked, children being shot in pews in Minnesota. We've also seen politically motivated assassinations of Minnesota lawmakers, Charlie Kirk. Has any of this made the president or the White House rethink gun safety prevention in this country? Either red flag laws, I know that was a conversation in the first Trump administration, or is there anything on the table right now on gun violence?
Of course, this is an extremely pressing issue for the administration in our entire country. It's deeply alarming to everyone here, the violence that we've seen taking place all over the country, the assassinations that have unfortunately, tragically taken place throughout the last several months. There are many discussions about how to prevent such violence and how we can ensure that law enforcement has the resources they can on the ground to not only respond, but again, to prevent such tragedies from taking place. If there are red flags with an individual in a community, that they are treated as an emergency, a public safety emergency, not just, you know, turn a blind eye to. There's many other things we can do, but the administration and the president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, the Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
Would you advocate for Congress to pass a federal red flag law? Right now, they just incentivize states financially to have red flag laws, but I know Lindsey Graham has worked on this as a Republican. There are some Republicans that do support this kind of gun safety legislation.
I don't want to get ahead of the president on any congressional action or any suggestion to Congress on that matter.
And let's not forget, the real issue here is that condemnations of violence often depend on who's committing it. So, when someone tries to play the PR game instead of genuinely condemning violence, it gets really tricky and pretty dangerous. It's crucial to recognize those rare moments of sanity that pop up on Fox News, but we also need to call out the hypocrisy wherever we see it. Remember, violence doesn't lose its impact just because the shooter is tied to a specific political party. It's still violence, plain and simple. Take, for example, how almost every Democrat really pushed back against the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Republicans, who often only speak out when it fits their agenda. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Until the next one.